Hello here and welcome to the HuskerOnline post-game live show. Sean Callahan, Steve Sipple, Robin Washett for about the next hour, maybe a little bit less because we got to be out of here by 1 o'clock in the stadium. We will recap this 24-17 overtime loss at Camp Randall Stadium. Nebraska falls now to 0-9 in the Freedom Trophy Series. It's the second time they've lost to the Badgers in overtime here in Camp Randall Stadium, the other back in 2016 under Mike Riley. It was an interesting game. We saw Chubba Purdy get the start. The Huskers put up 14 straight points to start the game. Going into the year, they had just 13 points in first quarters all season. They get 14 from Chubba. Things looked very promising, but then the adjustments, the phases of the game kind of kicked in. And it turned into a game, and it kind of turned into the same type of game we've seen a lot of this year, just a back and forth field position slugfest. Yeah. Wisconsin made the plays. Nebraska had a few special teams blunders, no turnovers until the final play in overtime, and that was big. But again, they just couldn't get over that hump in the second half, guys. The second half passing numbers too for Nebraska. They didn't, I believe it was under 30 yards passing in the second half for Nebraska, very one-dimensional, and they just weren't able to get much sip in the second half.
No, I hope, here's what I hope, guys, as we talk in this very dark, what are we in, a radio booth at Camp Randall?
We are in the radio booth.
Yeah. A dark radio booth on a cold night. I hope, guys, that the players and coaches didn't feel the sense of doom and in sort of this inevitability that I felt for Nebraska in overtime. It didn't feel like to me that they were going to close it out. Yeah. It didn't feel to me like they could close it out. I hope to God they don't feel that way. That's just me. I mean, it's just a subjective analysis, but man, that was an overwhelming feeling for me. What'd you guys think?
Yeah, I think the big feeling I had, and I know a lot of other fans voiced this frustration as well, was just the lack of aggressiveness and urgency, especially at the end of regulation there,
yeah,
where it's almost like they were just playing not to lose, where they had the ball deep in Wisconsin territory. Wisconsin took a timeout with like a minute and a half left, I think 1:35. And then Nebraska didn't use one of its two remaining timeouts until 20 seconds left on the clock. It's just that kind of is a total flip of kind of the mentality and a lot of people thought that Matt Rule was trying to build with this program, where they weren't going to be playing scared, and they were always going to be on the attack and be the aggressors and find ways to win those types of games.
Yeah.
They didn't play like.
Hold on, though, Rob.
They didn't play like. At least they didn't call plays.
What about last week?
I know
when they did show that aggressiveness, Rule got taken to task for it.
Yeah,
I think that backfired a little bit. I mean,
remember? No, you know what I'm talking about?
I do know what you're talking about.
Last week, he threw it in the end zone, and people said, "Play it safe, play it smart." See, now Coach can't win. I mean, now he does play it safe and
plays the overtime.
There's people going to be criticizing him for that. So I'm with you, Rob. But I was with Rule last week. Seemed like I was one of the few. I said I don't mind him throwing it in the end zone on third down.
Yeah, I didn't either.
Different situation though. Last week the 13-10 would have gotten the lead. Today they had a chance to win it.
Good point.
And you didn't know if they were really going to get another chance to win it. I mean, they let 10-15 seconds kind of run off before
that's what bothered me.
And instead of having 3 clean shots, they had basically 1.
And they could have had at least 2. You're right. And Rule said that in the post game, that he could have had 2 shots. He was playing for a field goal, he said, but he said we could have had maybe 2 shots if we played it differently. So yeah, I don't know. Did you guys hear in the post game on Twitter were people pretty upset about that?
Honestly, I mean, we were down below, but yeah, I just think naturally you're like, man, you just let some time run off there, or you would have probably had your full playbook available. But again, they were in that same situation last week with Chubba Purdy and inexperience at wide receiver, and Wisconsin's a physical team. I mean, what if they cause some disruption and they turn it over down there? Then you never hear the end of it at that point.
No.
Yeah, it's
tricky.
It's one of those deals where hindsight, there's always going to be a better answer. But, with that situation, given kind of the circumstances of the game, with the way that your offense had been playing basically after the first quarter, you had an opportunity to go win the game.
Yep.
And you essentially run one pass play and
Yeah.
just stand there and let the clock tick away to where you're only limiting yourself to one play,
One
at
shot.
the end.
Yeah.
And, it wasn't there. They threw it out of the back of the end zone. They go kick the field goal and play for overtime. But when they did go to the overtime, I don't know. I didn't have, like I'm with you, Sip, I didn't have a feeling that they were going to go win it.
The defense had to get off the field.
Yeah.
I mean, if the defense forces a field goal and they win on that third down, that might be the difference. I mean, then they can score for a touchdown to win it. But yeah, Nebraska is so limited in the red zone. They just don't have a lot of red zone reps where they finish drives in the end zone. I mean, both their drives that they scored on today were not red zone situations. They were big 50-plus yard plays out of the red zone. But when you get down there, as you know, it gets chaotic and guys aren't wide open. You have to get open and you have to make plays. And Nebraska hasn't been a good team at doing that really all season in the red zone.
No, they fell in tonight. They fell short in too many areas. I mean, again, now we got to be a little careful in that they just lost an overtime game on the road. It's not a disaster, but I thought special teams were a borderline disaster.
Mm-hmm.
The defense wasn't good on third down, right?
No, especially in the second half. The offense, I'm not pinning this on Chubba. I mean, Chubba got him a lead out of the gate. There was a lull, but I thought it was more. It wasn't I thought the protection broke down a lot, right? Mm-hmm. They ran the ball, but it was, I don't know. They just couldn't get much going in the second half for reasons other than Purdy, I thought.
Yeah,
what do you guys think?
Wisconsin stayed in rhythm too, and it wasn't like they were getting big plays, but they were executing in a rhythm to keep things going for them. I mean, they had a couple of, they had that one pass for the touchdown. That was a breakdown, but everything else was little. I mean, Braylon Allen knew he was not going to be the 2021 Braylon Allen tonight. He just said, all right, I'm going to help my team win though and play situational football. Yep. I mean, Braylon Allen and Tanner Mordecai combined for 113 yards rushing on 31 carries.
Mordecai he was slippery, as you said, down when we were watching the end of the game on the field, near the field.
He's wiggly.
He was slippery, and he got free a few times when you thought maybe Nebraska had him. Mordecai was tough. Oh, I'll tell you what though. I mean, back up a little bit. This game was tailor-made for Nebraska to win, I thought. And again, they should have.
They were up 14-0.
Up 14-0 on a team that was without its second leading receiver, Bryson Green. They don't have a downfield passing game, and we didn't see much of a downfield passing game from Wisconsin. They lost their easily their best defender, the strong safety, Hunter Wohler, for the entire second half. He was injured the first half. Second leading receiver out. By far their best defender out. You got a team on a 3-game losing streak who lost a dreadful game here at Camp Randall last week to Northwestern. And then you have them on the ropes, and here's the key. You let them off, and you know when it happened. And, man, Fickle couldn't say enough about it after the game. That second, the 4th and 1, Rob.
Yep.
The 4th and 1, go ahead.
Yeah, the 4th and 1 where –
second quarter.
And, again, that kind of – you just got to, in hindsight, like, would they be better off kicking the field goal? I don't know, especially with Tristan Alvani. You talk about the special teams. He shanked that one from 42 yards and didn't look all that good. And so maybe that had something to do with it. Yeah. So, like, when you are not good enough in all of these key areas in which Nebraska needs to be good or really good to win, this is what you're going to get. Where right. Even when the offense comes out, with hair on fire and comes out 14-0. 14 points or more they'd scored in the fourth quarter combined all season long. And so, like, this was rare territory for them. They're playing with a lead. They were leading at halftime. Yep. They had the game in their control, and they found one way after another once again to lose in all 3 phases.
All these games are the same too. I mean, when you think about the way all the games in the Big Ten are close. They're 1-score type games. Every week the point spread for Nebraska is like this. And it comes down to discipline, execution down the stretch. It comes down to third down situational plays.
Yeah, making plays.
Making a tackle in the open field on third down, making a sack when you bring a blitz. And Nebraska missed those tonight. They had a couple of chances to kind of maybe finish it, and they couldn't do it. And obviously the offense remains limited. But guys, Chuba Purdy was a real positive. And we'll get on that next year. But before we get to that, thank you for joining us on Husker Online Postgame Live. Tonight's show brought to you by CHI. When you need heart care, know you are in good hands with CHI Health Nebraska Heart in Lincoln. They're offering the community's most advanced heart care, and their heart hospital located on 91st and Pine Lake Road, just north of Highway 2. The experts at CHI Nebraska Heart put our heart and soul, plus the latest cardiovascular technologies into caring for our community. The highly specialized team works closely with you to get you back on your feet after a major event or chronic cardiac condition, offering the highest level of care to keep your heartbeat strong. Our heart care extends beyond Lincoln, too, with expert cardiovascular care all across in 14 hospitals, as well as 35 different communities across Nebraska, Southwest Iowa, and northern Kansas. More than 600,000 people die of heart disease every year. Learn your heart's real age by taking a quiz at chihealth.com/heart risk. Thank you again to CHI Health for sponsoring us here all season long on Husker Online. All right, I want to get into the first super chat, guys, because I don't want these to get stacked up here as we're up against it. We don't have the ability to go much past an hour tonight. But Joshua comes in first, $20 super chat. Thank you, Joshua. Absolutely draining and demoralizing game to watch. At 5-3, I did not see this skid coming. 5-3, I did not see this skid coming. I was like 5. It just didn't come on.
It's late.
It's been a long night. It's late. I figured out we got to rearrange our flights out of here. So it's but if we go 5-7, we have to seriously look at this season as being a failure. I hate to say that, but it's true. Fans are better. And yeah, I don't want to say it's an absolute failure, but it's a major disappointment if they go 5-7, because as Steve Sipple said months ago, there will never be a schedule probably like this again for Nebraska with this many opportunities to kind of right the ship of where this program's currently at.
Yeah, I feel for the fans. I say this way too often. I do feel for them, though. This is gut-wrenching stuff. I mean, for people that are joining us right now, I don't know. I can't tell you how much we thank you, because it's got to get old. I mean, just coming up short time and time again. It was the theme of Frost second to last year, right? That's all we talked about. Oh, they're close. They're close. They're close. Now, here we are again. It's close. They're close. They're close. Now, Rule, he did lay it on the line as far as his players go. He said they were crushed after this game.
Emotionally and physically.
Yeah.
They're hurting.
Yeah, they're hurting. He said they're hurting. I understand it completely. You can't come up short time and again without feeling that way. So I don't know. It's a rough time of year. You had Wisconsin on the ropes. We talked about it. It was a game that was tailor-made for Nebraska to win, and they get up to a 14-0 lead and can't close it out.
Yeah, and that's on the heels of two previous weeks where they had golden opportunities. And they were playing a reeling Michigan State team, they were playing a reeling Maryland team, playing a reeling Wisconsin team, and they found one way after another to blow the opportunity. And it's a gut punch every single week when you see how close they are to doing something that fans so desperately want. They just want to go to a bowl. They want to have a postseason.
They want the program to advance, to take a step forward.
Exactly. And they're so close, but yet they
doesn't matter though.
No, I mean, it's so close in each game. They're so close as a program. Yeah. Like you see like them just like inching to that finish line, but then they like trip and fall down and roll down the stairs.
Teams aren't that good. Yeah. I mean, that they're losing to. They're not.
No.
When the coverage and the interest of this program, it's amazing that it's still there. I mean, there was a guy next to me in the camera room, and he was from the Big Ten Network running their camera. He's like, because man, this is unbelievable how many cameras you guys have covering this football team. You have more people covering Nebraska than Ohio State had here.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
I mean, it's insane. All right, let's get to the next super chat. Austin, we'd win games if we'd stop turning the ball over. Well, there were no turnovers. We're still losing. Where do we point the finger now? Guys, I'll say special teams, Brian Buschini and the punts. I mean, anytime your punter recovers his own punt and makes a tackle, that's not good. Gadget plays. I want to be critical a little bit. The gadget plays for Nebraska,
I didn't like it.
they
too.
just didn't work. They didn't have a good feel.
Yeah.
And every one of them was almost like starting drives out with a penalty.
Yeah, it seemed desperate.
Overthought it a lot. I
The
thought
way they were running the ball early, and then all of a sudden you're doing like halfback passes back to the quarterback, like that. You already put that on film
right
against Minnesota.
Nobody was fooled.
Yeah,
Blew
so
up.
it's like I don't know what. I mean, I get it. You're trying to ignite a spark, like trying to run a reverse or something like that. That's I don't know. I mean, like I kind of understand it, but with the way that game was going and what Nebraska needed to do to win, that wasn't it. You know, they just needed to have a very simple game plan of just control the clock, grind out yards on the ground, get points, and not set yourself back to where you're in second and long and third and long. Well, those plays backfired completely and put them in that exact situation.
they did.
All right, let's bring in Joshua Frederick here on the Super Chat. Thank you guys for your hard work and analysis. I really enjoy the show, and it makes these losses sting less. I just want a winning season. Don't we all?
How about a 500?
I mean,
Just get to 6.
and I said this, I don't know what show I said this on, guys, but just one more month of football. Just give us December. I want to like scramble around in December knowing I got to get ready to go on a bowl trip. I mean,
they got another shot. They got one
they got
more
one
shot.
more, but it's not going to be easy. Iowa's a
You don't
top.
think?
They're a top 15 team, guys.
I don't think Nebraska's going to roll them. I mean, but again, Rule in the post game says, I mean, he did say this week the game will go down to the wire.
They all do.
Yeah. And it'll probably, I could envision it going down to the wire on Black Friday. I really could.
It's going to be like 13-10 again.
Yeah. These guys, these veteran players have to find it within themselves one more time. You know what? Wouldn't you say, though, that you feel maybe a little bit better now with Chubba the way he played, that gives him a better shot than maybe that you would have said?
No question.
Yeah, I mean, that was his first full week of working as a starter. So, I mean, like, and he looked pretty good. Like, he was making some throws that were really nice throws. And obviously things kind of fell apart on him down the stretch. But, I mean, you saw the explosiveness he brings to the table with the way that he was running. That separation he got on that touchdown run, that was eye-opening.
Yeah, it was.
And then that throw he had to Jalen Lloyd on the deep ball, that was a really pretty throw. And that was after one of those gadget plays blew up in their face, and they had to come and like dig their way out of a hole. So, you know, he brings that kind of explosiveness to the position that, you know, they need every bit of that they can get.
The pain management for Chubba too with this injury, you know, what did he have to do to get himself ready to play, and what's he going to feel like tomorrow? And can he come back on a short week? They're going to get back to Lincoln probably at 2 or 3 in the morning. They're going to have to get back over there Sunday and get going on Iowa with an 11 a.m. kick on Friday. It's probably the quickest kickoff to kickoff turnaround Nebraska's ever faced in their history, where they've played on a night road game and an 11 a.m. Black Friday game. So this will not be easy. Let's get one more super chat in here. This is from Scott's Tots. Poor clock management to end the first half and the fourth quarter. Rule didn't coach to win. Nebraska had momentum, timeouts, good field position. Instead, Rule opts to drain the clock. Nebraska was not winning in overtime, and we hit on this already at the start. But yeah, it was it's kind of one of those things where, and there was another situation with Scott Frost or another coach I remember where the week before situation dictated how he had to play that week situation. And it felt like that tonight. That Maryland 13-10 fiasco with the interception in the end zone that let Maryland win the game kind of led to how Matt Rule had to manage this, because the people that pay his bills were upset last week how he managed it.
I hope that's not the case.
I hope it's not the case either. It just felt like he managed it.
God, I hope that's not it. I really, I mean,
But
I'd be
he
really
said that,
disappointed.
though. He said,
well, he didn't say that's why he called it. He just referred to the situation. He did not say I called it that way because the fans were on my back. He didn't say that. He did refer to last week, but I don't know. I hope that had nothing to do with it. It does kind of make you wonder, I guess.
All right. Well, thank you for joining us on Husker Online Post Game Live. We're brought to you by Bauer Underground, serving Nebraska and all the surrounding communities, helping shape the infrastructure here in Nebraska. They're looking for new laborers and members to join their team. It's a great company. They offer competitive pay, employer-paid health insurance, dental, disability, vision, life insurance, 401k match. new top-of-line equipment, and they'll give you a clothing allowance. If you don't have experience in underground utility construction, no problem. They will train you. They're just looking for the right people. They are family-owned, great company work environment, atmosphere. We'll see them Friday at the game. They'll have a great tailgate party for all their employees up in the skyboxes. And Stu Bauer, a Nebraskan out of Norfolk. They've got locations all across Nebraska. So, wherever you live, Bauer's going to have an opportunity for you. Like and follow them on Facebook or visit BauerUnderground.com to come start your new career today. Thank you to Bauer Underground for sponsoring us here on Husker Online Postgame Live. All right, Dustin Brown, fans get off Satterfield. Until we get receivers that can get open on 3rd and 4th down, there will always be problems. We can't run away from that issue, beat Iowa. And, Malachi Coleman, though, I give Chubba Purdy some credit. Like, he did a really good job, guys, of getting the ball out. He had zip on the ball. It was the first time the bubble screens and sideline passes looked crisp. They looked in rhythm. And he found Malachi Coleman a couple of times. I mean, there were a few moments in this game where you're like, okay, you can see this offense looks a lot better with a quarterback that gets it out.
Yeah, I saw somebody made the comment, maybe Michael Severe, about how Chubba throws a more catchable ball than Heinrich.
Yeah,
where,
he does.
Heinrich got just rifled the ball in there. And, he had just so much steam on his passes, and they came out so quickly on guys that it was really difficult for them to catch. And so you see Chubba, he's got a little bit more touch on it. And, he puts the ball in positions where guys can make plays. And you saw a little bit of that where there was, to at least some extent, a downfield passing game tonight. And that wasn't nearly enough, but they did make some shots downfield. And like you said, Sean, that horizontal passing game was actually somewhat effective early on.
It was.
So if they can open things up that way, that will make life so much easier on the rest of this offense, where they're not facing 8-9 men box and trying to run right into it.
Wasn't that interesting? Someone defending Satterfield.
Yeah, you don't see that very often.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. You just generally don't see people defending coordinators very often. There you go.
Brody Burney comes in. I'm saddened. I think last week played into the minds of the coaches. Before the Illinois game, Matt Rule said that a man who gets down on his knees has forgotten how to die. We got it down on our knees.
I don't know what that means. But that analogy metaphor is escaping me. But the clock management, his clock management at the end of regulation will be a hot topic this week. Matt.
Well, it'll be, usually he's a lot better with those answers a couple days removed. So on Monday, that'll be a good thing to ask him about when he gets a chance to kind of look back on it.
Satterfield, as the coordinators do every week, will speak on Tuesday, and it'll be interesting to hit him on that too. Plus those gadget plays to which you guys referred, which I agree with completely. I'd say, what was there, 3 or 4 of them? And I thought every one of them was head scratcher. Like, what are we doing?
Yeah, the Wisconsin edge guys were at home, every one of them. There was not opportunity for any of them.
Nope.
Zach Lubin. Hey, guys, love the show. Where do this team, staff, Husker Nation go from here? Well, got to play Iowa. And, I mean, you can really turn things around. But, yeah, 3-game losing streak now for Nebraska. 3-point loss, 3-point loss, 7-point loss. It's like we're just trapped in this 1-score purgatory, and that's life in the Big Ten. I mean, these teams are disciplined. They're well coached. Every week it's like this in this conference. There are no just automatic wins anymore. We're going to play like in 2019 when Nebraska went out to Maryland and Mike Loxley was in his first year and they weren't prepared to play a team like Nebraska or anybody. You don't get games like that anymore in the Big Ten. Even Northwestern, when they fired their coach. Look at Northwestern. I mean, every one of these wins comes with a price.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, Northwestern is not what Northwestern's doing with 6 wins, bowl eligibility. That's I'm sure that has to be rough for Nebraska fans to watch, and probably for Matt Rule to watch. I mean, this is Northwestern. You give them a lot of credit. They get to 6 after a horrific August scandal. I mean, summer scandal. And there was a lot of talk like, oh God, if they win 2 games, it'll be sort of, you'd expect them to win about 2 instead of at 6. Nebraska can't get to 6. Now, as far as this game goes against Iowa, once again, it sets up pretty good for Nebraska as long as they come out and play. Iowa's clinched. They clinched the West today by beating Illinois. Iowa did. So Nebraska's getting an Iowa team that's already clinched, and an Iowa team that's without critical players. Now I get it. Nebraska's without critical players too. Injuries have taken a toll, but they're getting Iowa at seemingly a good time. But they get everybody at a good time, it seems like, and they have not taken advantage of it. And it's really, really frustrating. You can hear me. I'm a little frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I like put in any stock into that because, like you said, they've had golden opportunities the last month and haven't done anything with it. So it's all about Nebraska. It has nothing to do with the situation or the opponent or anything like that. Like this is a team that has to figure itself out. They have to, and they're going to have to dig deep this week on a short week with very little prep. Where guys are banged up, both physically and probably between the ears a little bit, with their confidence right now. I mean, Marquise Buford after the game was asked, what the locker room was like. It's like sad, mad, disappointed, angry. Just if you can find a negative word, that's how we feel right now. And so how are these guys going to be able to flush that on a short week against an Iowa team that's riding high? And they love nothing more than beating Nebraska, and with the Ferentz situation, he wants to continue to end this thing on a high note. So they're going to be plenty motivated. Whatever they're dealing with, it doesn't matter if Nebraska doesn't figure their own issues out and figure out a way
Iowa's 9-2
to get out of this mental hump that they're in.
They're 9-2.
Yeah, don't let a bunch of Iowa fans in that stadium either. I don't want to hear a bunch of Hawkeye fans in there.
Let's go Hawks.
I'll never forget that one year when they won and they dropped, where it says Nebraska over the tunnel when you walk in, it's like on the concrete. They dropped the Iowa flag, like an invading army, just like putting their flag.
No, don't let that happen.
Spark Adventures, quick comment. I miss Bo.
Oh, good God.
Well, this is not the same Big Ten that Bo Pelini coached. It's a much different conference. I mean,
I don't know. Yeah, it is. But
no,
it's not great
better
this year.
I mean,
it's not great this year, though, Sean. It's not a great conference this year. It's not.
I know, but the money and the resources and the depth of the league is much better. I mean, back then, Illinois and the Purdue's and the Indianas,
easy wins.
You didn't have to play your best ball. Now, Jeff Brom was coaching in Purdue. Yeah. I mean, it's just. This isn't
a good year for the Big Ten, though.
It's not a good year, but it's a better league. The depth of the league is still strong.
Yeah, it's not a great year.
Mike Stoffner, super chat. What are the potential bowl destinations if we go 5-7? This is too early to say, guys, right?
5-7. Are they? I have no idea what their APR is, but I've seen
in the 60s.
66.
Seen that it would potentially be good enough, right?
Yeah, it would be, but a lot of it, again, there's so many. First of all, how many teams are going to get to 6? How many spots are then available? James Madison and Jacksonville State can now play in bowl games. It's not conference title games. So they would jump 5-7 teams. Then from there, how many are left and where does Nebraska fall in the APR rankings? I mean, there's so many things tied in to, how that works. And nobody has a really good answer. And probably by Monday, you'll start to see some projections on that, but I think it's still pretty early.
How would Nebraska fans even feel about that?
I said it'd feel kind of dirty.
Yeah.
I mean, probably just like 2015 or whatever, when they snuck into that Foster Farmers Bowl. But guess what? They went out and won that bowl.
It turned out
really good in the process, and they had huge offseason momentum, thinking like, all right, they Riley found it out. They're going to be this power offense. Clearly didn't work out. But like that was a shot in the arm to a program that needed it.
Good point. It was.
All right, Justin Rogie. The positive we had is that we only lost. I guess I don't understand that, guys.
Only lost a close game. Overtime. I don't know. What. There's positives. Chubba's the biggest positive.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we all three agree that Chubba.
He could win the job next year.
Yeah, and you feel better going and playing Iowa with him than you did with Heinrich, frankly.
What if Chubba plays really well against Iowa? They beat Iowa. And then that transfer portal opens on December 4th. How do you play that?
I don't know.
Like,
well, you can go get a quarterback and still have Chubba.
Yeah.
Because Chubba can't transfer unless he
depth
graduates
right now. And what do you feel about the rest of the guys in that room?
I think, Sean, the answer is I think you're still going and getting one. Yeah. But that doesn't see. I don't look at it like this. You go get a quarterback, then everybody has to leave.
Right.
You can still keep.
You don't have to hand the keys to the car to some guy in the portal that you've never seen play here
Right.
before. I mean, you have a little bit of a backup plan or a quality in-house option. Whereas a couple weeks ago, I don't know if you could say that.
All right, you're listening here to Husker Online Postgame Live Show. Husker Online Postgame Live brought to you by Caldera Lab, and it is the holiday season. My wife was calling me, actually doing Christmas shopping already. I'm sure a lot of people were out and about this weekend trying to get some gifts for someone in your life, that man in your life or whoever. Get Caldera Lab. It is a great men's skincare product. Helps make you look younger. You feel fresh. 30 seconds in the morning, 30 seconds in the evening. 94% of men have seen results using Caldera Lab. Your skin's going to look tighter, smoother, fresher. We got a great special here for Husker Online listeners. Just visit calderalab.com, use promo code Husker, and you'll get 20% off. Once again, that's calderalab.com, promo code Husker to get that 20% off discount of Caldera Lab. Thank you again for sponsoring us here on the Husker Online Show. Okay, let's go back to the Supers, guys. Adam, Satterfield got too wild, up 14, got away from the run game, and I don't disagree with any of that. I mean,
I don't either.
I felt like they thought that they could kind of put on a show at that point, and they honestly, guys, if they get up 17, I told Robin, man, 17 would feel great, and they just couldn't do it. I mean, they were stuck on 14.
Yeah, and then, again, early second quarter, that fourth down play, which they didn't do anything squirrely on the 4th and 1. They just tried to run Emmett Johnson, and a kid named CJ Getz made a big play. That's when the momentum swung. You know what? I don't know if Nebraska ever fully got it back. That was early second quarter. Do you remember the play? 4th and 1, Emmett Johnson ran the ball. They stopped him. The stadium was dead. It wasn't that alive all night, but it was. It was a good
crowd, though.
It was a good crowd.
It was a surprisingly good crowd.
Yeah,
but it wasn't raucous in here. So yeah, but I agree with it. Satterfield got a little too tricky for my life.
Man, this place though, it is a fun place to watch a college football game.
It sure is.
They do it right.
Like
I mean, sure the hell is. Sure.
I hope like people from Nebraska watch they have the music thing figured out.
God, they do.
And I don't understand how and why it's so hard to do it. Like,
I don't know. They just have people. They just have cool people running. Apparently, even their pregame music's good.
Like, people have so much fun. Minnesota is the same way, but they don't try to force things into the game experience. They just say, let's play good music that people want to hear and have fun.
How many player features this is his favorite CD or this was his favorite cartoon character? They didn't have that stuff. They just played fun, upbeat music, and everybody was dancing and having a party about it.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple. It's not that hard. I mean, and my kids went to the Minnesota game, and they said that to me at that game, man, it's a lot of fun at this game, Dad. I'm like, yeah, they play good music, and the kids. I mean, the crowd when they sing here, though, there's no stadium like that in the Big Ten.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
So, all right, let's get back to the super chat.
Yeah.
Sorry, my stadium music tantrum there. Zach Foster, as a fan, I don't feel bad for the players. I just want to win. How do you guys stay so professional during the games like this? Throw the bones, go Big Red. Look, you were in the press box. It's like a library atmosphere. But we were spaced out enough where you can talk and kind of zone in on the game. But these games go quick, guys. Tonight's went fast.
It did. But I was frustrated. And I totally understand fans' frustration. I really do. That I don't know what to say.
Well,
Again, the one thing I'd add, Rob, is I'm repeating myself, but that sense of inevitability in overtime is what bothered me most. I hope the players don't feel it. I felt it.
Well, and the frustration stems from talking about, writing about, watching the same thing over and over for years and years, over coach after coach, players after players.
Right.
It's the same thing. And Nebraska, for whatever reason, as a program, cannot figure it out to get over that hump that they've been. It's like Sisyphus, the Greek mythology guy, is pushing the boulder up the hill, and as soon as he gets to the top, it comes crashing down, and he has to go push it up again for the rest of eternity. That's kind of what Nebraska feels like.
Don't say eternity, please.
But until they actually get that boulder over the top of the hill, that's where they are. And this was another example of that boulder going all the way back down, and Nebraska's got to find a way on a short week to push it back up again.
All right, Jerry, punts were bad.
Yep.
Missed field goal.
Yep.
And
Bad.
defense underperformed. For once, though, we had a QB who was actually looked like a QB. And with more reps with Chuba, I feel better. And yeah, the defense was solid, but Matt Rule mentioned some players got nicked up, and we didn't really get a good read on who those guys
I don't know
were.
who that is, Sean.
That got pulled out of the game, but they had 3 or 4 just real shot opportunities on Mordecai or to get off the field.
Yep.
And that's what I look at. Those plays where they just missed, where they drew up some really good sacks, pressures, and they just could not get a good hit on Mordecai.
Javin Wright had a critical miss on a blitz that Mordecai got loose on. Critical. Rule mentioned that one. Yeah, those are the plays that make a difference. One thing we've learned through all this over the past several years is it does come down to making plays. It just like that's the kind of play you gotta make.
Yeah, you can talk about scheme all you want, but when you scheme up a guy that's going to have a free shot at the quarterback and he just doesn't tackle
miss
him,
yeah,
I mean that's going to lose you games like this, where every inch counts. When you got kickers missing kicks, punters getting 19-yard punts, you got
that's scheme.
I guess the offense just being out of sync and trying to do too much, like getting away from their bread and butter, like that stuff, especially in a game like this, an opponent like this, in a venue like this, will get you beat every time.
All right, let's bring in Patrick's super chat. Can Nebraska just get out of their lots of letters way and win some games? So much for that bowl game. Now, easy, Patrick.
Yeah, we still got a bowl game.
And hey, keep in mind, they were 7-point underdogs tonight. They lost by 7. I mean,
that's good.
I think sometimes emotionally you forget that very few people, other than people in Nebraska, picked Nebraska to win this game. I mean, Nebraska was a dog. They came out, gave it hell, and they had a great opportunity to win this game.
They did.
They were underdogs last week to Maryland, and they could have won that game. They were underdogs at Illinois, and they won. They were underdogs at Minnesota, and they almost won. They were underdogs at Colorado. They got bullied. I mean, so, as painful as it sounds, I mean, Nebraska's been an underdog in a lot of games this year in terms of the spread. And tonight was another one of those nights where they were a touchdown dog in Madison, where the Badgers are extremely difficult to beat at home at night. They have one of the best night records in the Big Ten.
Yeah, Northwestern got them here. It wasn't at night.
It was a 2:30 game.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess. They're good.
No, they had won like 15 straight night games at home.
Yeah, they're tough at night for sure. And they got Allen back tonight. They didn't have Allen. They had Allen Braylon for 3 plays against Northwestern. His presence tonight was really helpful for Wisconsin.
He was just a manageable version. Like he was not going to hit a home run.
No.
But he's like, I'm just going to body blow and pound you.
Yeah, like Rob said, Rob pointed out during the game, there was one key point in the fourth quarter where they're going to take him out. And he waved him off because he smelled blood in the water.
Well, this might be his final game at Camp Randall. I mean, more than likely, he's a junior. And shelf lives of running backs, they generally declare. I would imagine, and Rob, this more than he's probably going to be gone. What do you think?
You would think. I mean, especially with the way this season went and how banged up he was. Like, you don't want any more wear and tear on those tires, especially at the running back position where your shelf life already isn't very long. So if he's probably the smart decision is to move on if he's got NFL aspirations. All
right, let's bring in Brody's super chat. Is this a talent issue? Do you believe Rule can bring in the elite talent back to Nebraska, or are we just throwing effort after foolishness? And there's key injuries.
There are.
The O-line is not where they want it to be long term. The depth's not there quite yet. They have some talent on defense. So I think we all agree. They're a limited offensive unit right now. They're limited.
Oh, they're limited. You mentioned the injuries. We don't have to go back through those, but they're missing their very best skill players right now. Ramir Johnson, Gabe Irvin, Marcus Washington, Isaiah Garcia Casanova, Xavier Betts leaving. That all is.
Can you imagine Xavier Betts playing tonight? I mean,
how much it'd help you? I can't.
I mean, it's like you wonder. I mean,
Marcus Washington,
Isaiah Garcia Castaneda.
Yeah, absolutely. Nebraska's. Satterfield was dealt a tough hand. You do have to include that in any conversation about this team. I don't know, but his talent is far. They're not that far away from Wisconsin.
Yeah. And so, can they bring in elite talent? I mean, not until they win. But you know what they can.
Right.
You know what I do think they can do? I think they can develop.
Yeah.
I think this staff's ability to develop talent is as good as it's been here in a long time.
We've seen it with Jalen Lloyd,
Yeah.
and we've seen it with
Look
Malachi
at
Coleman,
the guys that have gotten significantly better
Cam Lenhart.
since the start of the offseason
Oh,
and now. Now
it's a long list.
What's going to happen with another offseason?
Okay, now here's the deal, though. The reason these losses, in my opinion, are crushing is because Nebraska needs to demonstrate progress, not just us talking about progress. It needs to be progress in the win-loss column. That's what expedites progress. Losses, I don't care if they're in overtime or they're 3-point losses. That's not progress.
Mm-hmm.
It's a step back in every time it happens. So you're trying to expedite progress. If you got 2 of the last 3 games, if you won 2 of the last 3, they'd be in a bowl game, and you could point to tangible progress.
And then you could start developing
now.
a plan for December and be
like,
all right,
yeah, exactly.
Sean. This is going to be exciting. And all right, but before we get on the home stretch here, let's bring in our final sponsor, HuskerOnline Postgame Live, brought to you by Homefield. We've partnered with Homefield to get you looking like a true fan on game days. Homefield is a premium collegiate apparel brand based in Indianapolis, and they emphasize their commitment to creating incredibly comfortable, officially licensed apparel with vintage college designs. And they've got some really cool, unique designs. Love the basketball stuff they have on there. Volleyball Day in Nebraska shirts. A lot of these things sell, and they sell really well on Homefield, because you can't find them in the stores in a lot of cases. And we've got a great deal for our HuskerOnline listeners and viewers here. Just visit homefieldapparel.com. Use promo code Huskers23. That's promo code Huskers23 to get 15% off. That's homefieldapparel.com. Promo code Huskers23 to get 15% off on your order from Homefield Apparel. Thank you again for sponsoring us here on HuskerOnline Postgame Live. All right, guys, let's take it down the home stretch. We got 4 more super chats in the queue. Brick, we're all focused on this year. Let's think about the future. Despite the recent circumstances, do you see the program heading in the right direction? And the thing we've talked about, guys, is how much harder this conference is going to get.
Yeah.
How much Washington's undefeated right now. Oregon's a 1-loss team.
Yeah.
USC and UCLA have talent on those rosters. Chip Kelly and Lincoln Riley are coaches that have played for national championships or coached in the college football playoffs. So it's not going to get easy. It's not going to get easier for Nebraska moving forward in this new world Big Ten, but they do have a great schedule next year to build momentum again next year.
Yeah. Are they headed in the right direction? I don't think they're headed in the wrong direction necessarily, but I can't say definitively it's the right direction right now. If they finish 5-7, I don't know if you can say it's real good progress. They've made progress, but I don't know. Probably headed in the right direction, but I say that with not the level of confidence I'd like to.
Yeah, if it is, which I think there's a lot of reasons to believe that it is headed in the right direction, but it's all foundational at this point, to where they are literally like putting the cement flooring down on the house, and then next year they're going to start, building the bones of it. So it's going to be a lot slower probably than a lot of people like, just because they've had a lot of work to do in an opportunity where they could have taken a pretty significant step forward. So you go back to why this is so disappointing, is this is such a missed opportunity, especially given what lies ahead. Like, they could have gotten a really good jump start to really accelerating this whole process.
This is a depressing stat I drew up tonight, guys. On Nebraska in Big Ten trophy games now is 5-17. 5-17. They have the 5. So that's just you think about just that record between Iowa, Wisconsin over the years in these trophy games. Actually 4-17. I think that they just have the 4 wins over Iowa, and they're 0-9 now against Wisconsin in these games. They're 4-8 against the Hawkeyes. Weston comes in with the super chat. We just need better players on the field. Rule can recruit and develop. Emphasis on developing. The sky is not falling. We'll be fine.
Yeah.
Yes. But again, these are great opportunities, and you're optimistic naturally as a fan or follower of this program, and you see the opportunities that are out there. and it's attainable. I think that's the most frustrating thing for a lot of fans right now.
Yeah, here's the deal. If you take a step back, the offense is really young. I mean, you're going to get a lot of that offense back next year, and they're good players. I mean, think about all the guys you're going to get back at running back. You're going to have Fedoni back. You're going to have Malachi Coleman and Jalen Lloyd and Jaden Doss. I mean, just up and down the line, you got a ton of players back on offense. So that's reason to be optimistic alone. You have enough guys on defense that you'll probably be okay. So yeah, I think there is reason to be optimistic. It's not that hard to find reasons.
All right. Brody comes in. Somebody do a wellness check on Luke Reimer. He's welcome back anytime. And yeah, Reimer had some moments tonight, guys. He made a few big plays for Nebraska tonight.
Yeah, he's played his guts out. He's the kind of guy I think about, like those veteran players on defense, those veteran players on the offensive line. Those are the guys I think about when I think about getting to a bowl game. I have to think the young guys are playing for those older guys, and those old guys are saying we have to do this. They're playing hard. So that's why I think they'll be fine against Iowa emotionally, physically. They'll be ready to play.
All right.
Too many veterans on the team not to be.
We got one more super chat, then we'll close with some final thoughts. Okay. Leland comes in. I will die a happy person. We got another one that just jumped in here. Mike just added one here. But I will die a happy person if we never see another wider receiver screen from this team. And I disagree because
kind of did work today. Yeah.
If you execute the timing and the throw and play the numbers right, there's opportunities on those plays.
Yeah, especially when you're having issues with protection and you don't want the quarterback just sitting in there running 5-7 step drives. It gets the ball out of his hands. It makes the defense have to spread out, and then it kind of creates other opportunities to kind of further your passing game.
All right. And Kemp's pretty good about firing up field too, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, he's a good runner with the ball.
Yeah.
We got two more now in there, so let's. We're up against the clock because we have to be out of the press box. So I want to make sure I get these in, guys.
Throw us right out the window.
Mike, would things be different if we were still in the Big 12? How do we get out of this purgatory? And look, yeah, Nebraska could probably win a few more games in the Big 12 than they are right now, but Nebraska's a big time program. They want to be with the best, and the SEC and the Big 10 are the best leagues in college football. Nebraska has a big brand, a great history. Yeah. They want to be at that table. Yeah. They don't want to be down in a lower league with less money where you're at a disadvantage. And if you go 8-4 in the Big 12, it doesn't have the same feel. I mean, it's just going to be a different deal moving forward. And Nebraska is positioned well in the Big 10 to be a player in college football, but they've got to get it figured out.
Yeah, I mean, there's too many resources. There's too much invested into this program. Like, it's stunning that it's taken this long to
stunning,
like even remotely get back on track. But I mean,
stunning.
Eventually, you would think when you continue to put all of that money, time, effort, passion, and all that into this thing, it's going to happen.
God, you'd think so.
You would think so.
Patrick with the final comment. At least the volleyball team is undefeated, and soccer is on round 3. Go Big Red. And yeah, volleyball team will play at Iowa tomorrow to win the Big 10 championship outright. They've already clinched at least a share. They just need one more win in their final 3, and they are the outright Big 10 champs. Congrats to John Cook and also John Walker, whose team beat Tennessee Friday, and they will play UC Irvine in the 3rd round of the NCAA soccer tournament.
How about that 5-0 Nebraska men's basketball team?
And
wow,
Rob, sorry, I am so sorry, Robin.
That day started out pretty well for Nebraska.
It did.
They whipped Oregon State. I had to watch it on Peacock because obviously I was out here, didn't get to see it, but that was dominant.
Thunderpants.
Well, guys,
you're not supposed to be texted in yourself, Rob.
I took my nickname.
We've got a interesting few hours ahead. We got to figure out our way home.
Let's not talk.
So we got that, but I appreciate everybody staying up late with us.
Yeah.
These are always tough to do on the road at night, but
it was fun though.
We got it in. We provided a little Husker therapy hour for you.
Yeah, and we didn't get kicked out, Sean.
Yeah,
we
didn't have technology. We didn't have technology issues either. I mean, we traveled with some new equipment and it worked well. So I'm glad we got that part of the game in. But yeah, I wish we could get a win in Madison. I've never obviously seen Nebraska win here. The last time they won in the stadium, Barry Alvarez was a player for Nebraska.
1966.
God, that's the year I was born. What a great year that was.
So, well, hey guys, a lot of fun in Madison, and it's gonna be a quick turnaround here for Black Friday.
Yep. Let's scurry out of here like little rats.
Okay. Well, thank you for everyone for joining us on Husker Online Postgame Live. Also, got to give a big thank you to our producer, Megan. She is expecting and scheduled to have a baby next week, and she's up working late for us at On3 behind the scenes. So thank you, Megan, for all your work this year and tonight, staying up late. And thanks to all our great listeners that have made this the most engaged Husker postgame show out there. So we enjoy doing it. For Steve Sipple, Robin Washett, I'm Sean Callahan, signing off here at Husker Online Postgame Live.